to working class youths. It is very easy to be brief today in addressing you, the youth of the people. The very pressure of events impels you to become socialists, however little you may have the courage to reason and to act. To rise from the ranks of the working people and not devote oneself to bringing about the triumph of socialism is to misconceive the real interests at stake, to give up the cause and the true historic mission. Do you remember the time when still a mere lad, you went down one winter's day to play in your dark court? The cold nipped your shoulders through your thin clothes, and the mud worked into your worn-out shoes. Even then, when you saw chubby children, richly clad, pass in the distance, looking at you with an air of contempt, you knew right well that these imps were not the equals of yourself and your comrades, either in intelligence, common sense, or energy. But later, when you were forced to shut yourself up in a filthy factory from 7 o'clock in the morning, to remain hours on end close to a whirling machine, and a machine yourself, you were forced to follow day after day for whole years in succession, its movements with relentless throbbing. During all this time they, the others, were going quietly to be taught at fine schools, at academies, at universities. And now these same children, less intelligent, but better taught than you, have become your masters, are enjoying all the pleasures of life, and all the advantages of civilization. And you? What sort of lot awaits you? You return to little, dark, damp lodgings, where 5 or 6 human beings pig together within a few square feet, where your mother, sick of life, aged by care rather than years, offers you dry bread and potatoes as your only food, washed down by a blackish fluid called in irony tea. And to distract your thoughts, you have ever the same never-ending question. How shall I be able to pay the baker tomorrow, and the landlord the day after? What? Must you drag on the same weary existence as your father and mother for 30 and 40 years? Must you toil your life long to procure for others all the pleasures of well-being, of knowledge, of art, and keep for yourself only the eternal anxiety as to whether you can get a bit of bread? Will you forever give up all that makes life so beautiful to devote yourself to providing every luxury for a handful of idlers? Will you wear yourself out with toil and have in return only trouble, if not misery, when hard times, the fearful hard times, come upon you? Is this what you long for in life? Perhaps you will give up, seeing no way whatever out of your condition. Maybe you say to yourself, whole generations have undergone the same lot, and I, who can alter nothing in the matter, I must submit also. Let us work on then, and endeavor to live as well as we can. Very well. In that case, life itself will take pains to enlighten you. One day, a crisis comes, one of those crises which are no longer mere passing phenomena, as they were formerly, but a crisis which destroys the whole industry, which plunges thousands of workers into misery, which crushes whole families. You struggle against the calamity like the rest, but you will soon see how your wife, your child, your friend, little by little succumb to privations, fade away under your very eyes, for sheer want of food, for lack of care and medical assistance. They end up their days on the pauper's stretcher, whilst the life of the rich flows on joyously midst the sunny streets of the great city, careless of those who starve and perish. You will then understand how utterly revolting is this society. You will then reflect upon the causes of this crisis, and your examinations will scrutinize to the depths that abomination which puts millions of human beings at the mercy of the brutal greed of a handful of useless triflers. Then you will understand that socialists are right when they say that our present society can be, that it must be, reorganized from top to bottom, to pass from general crises to your particular case. One day, when your master tries by a new reduction of wages to squeeze out of you for a few more dollars in order to increase his fortune still further, you will protest. But he will haughtily answer, "Go and eat grass if you will not work at the price I offer." Then you will understand that your master not only tries to shear you like a sheep, but that he looks upon you as inferior kind of animal altogether. That not content with holding you in his relentless grip by means of the wage system, he is further anxious to make you a slave in every respect. Then you will, perhaps, bow down before him. You will give up the feeling of human dignity, and you will end by suffering every possible humiliation. Or the blood will rush to your head. You shudder at the hideous slope on which you are slipping down. You will retort, and, turned out workless on the street, you will understand how right socialists are when they say, "Revolt! Rise against this economic slavery." Then you will come and take your place in the ranks of the socialists, and you will work with them for the complex destruction of all slavery, economic, social, and political. Every one of you then, honest young people, men and women, peasants, laborers, artisans, and soldiers, you will understand what are your rights, and you will come along with us. You will come in order to work with your brethren in the preparation of that revolution which is sweeping away every vestige of slavery, tearing the fetters asunder, breaking with the old worn-out traditions, and opening to all mankind a new and wider scope of joyous existence, and which shall at length establish true liberty, real equality, ungrudging fraternity throughout human society. Work with all, work for all, the full enjoyment of the fruits of their labor, the complete development of all their faculties, a rational, human, and happy life. Don't let anyone tell us what we, but a small band, are too weak to attain unto the magnificent end at which we aim. Count and see how many there are who suffer this injustice. We peasants who work for others, and who mumble the straw while our master eats the wheat. We by ourselves are millions of men. We workers who weave silks and velvet in order that we may be clothed in rags. We too are a great multitude. And when the clang of the factory permits us a moment's repose, we overflow the streets and the squares like the sea in a spring tide. We soldiers, who are driven along to the word of command, or by blows, we who receive the bullets for which our officers get crosses and pensions, we too, poor fools who have hitherto known no better than to shoot our brothers, why, we have only to make a right about face towards these plumed and decorated personages who are so good as to command us, to see a ghastly pallor overspread their faces. Aye, all of us together, we who suffer and are insulted daily, we are a multitude whom no man can number. We are the ocean that can embrace and swallow up all else. We have but the will to do it. That very moment will justice be done. That very instant the tyrants of the earth shall bite the dust.